All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Madison County Board of Education work session for January 4th, 2018 is now called to order. Ms. Rucker, if you would please lead us in prayer.
Our Father, Lord, we thank you for the blessing of being here. And Father, thank you for our school system. And Lord, we pray for wisdom to lead. And Father, we pray for your protection. And Father, that you'd help the teachers and the students, God, to just do the best they can in their education. We ask these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right. Well, welcome back. Happy New Year. The last time we were gathered together, we had a tax renewal vote that we kind of had a watch party with a few of us and celebrated that with a resounding victory. So thanks for everybody's effort on that. As we come back from the break, come back to some really bitter cold weather. We've got 2 days of a delayed start time. That's really kind of, even though it gives us a chance to get our buses and facilities kind of ready to come in there, we really wanted to do that just to kind of remind everybody for the safety of our students. When students are being picked up before sunrise, and wind chills are at 0, that's a risky scenario. So that 2 hours gets the sun up and puts us in a lot better position to keep kids safe and that kind of thing. And so, Carrie, I wanted, let you kind of chime in on some of the facility issues that we had, and maybe, kind of talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Great. Yes, sir. During the holiday, just kind of give a quick brief run over. During the holidays, this was been here 21 years, and it really, every year I say it gets a little bit better than it seems to. We did a lot more prep work this year, getting things ready, leaving doors open inside the school, of course, and doing different things to systems, which really helped out. But during the holidays, we had, as you can imagine, we had a couple of water breaks. We had Lynn Fanning had a water break, Walnut Grove had a water break, Hedge Green High School had a water break, and so our guys go out and they fix them. Your guys. I mean, they get out there and they fix them. They do a great job. They don't complain. They jump in the water. And so we had Hedge Green, Lynn Fanning, Riverton Intermediate School. Inside that school, in the lobby of the gym, that girls' area has probably frozen 10 times since I've been here. And it's because we need more money to put more heating in that area. We've added 1 unit in that area, but we probably need to add 2 or 3 more. But all we do is we prop the doors open to the gym, and enough heat bleeds out. But unfortunately, somewhere in between the holidays, somebody shut the doors. And so the lobby got cold and in turn the water broke. But we took care of that. And Walnut Grove was a courtyard. All the others were exterior, so that was the good news. But Riverton also, once again, being the lucky school, they had a mechanical unit that sits on a mezzanine up in the attic space, and we had a coil break on it, so it comes through the ceiling and it floods down into the building. But even worse than that, we don't get any heat in that area of the building. But they got it fixed yesterday also before school started. But that's the issue with that school. It needs to be insulated again. It is what it is, and we just know that may happen sometimes. As far as boilers go, Endeavor and Mount Carmel, both of those boilers were online and working, but they went offline. And the worst scenario was we were about 68, 69 degrees at Mount Carmel this morning, but the boiler was still coming on and chugging, so it did just fine. But we got those online, and wanted to send your guys. They worked late. During the holidays, and of course last night and the night before, they worked late. And Buckhorn High School, we had a leak at a boiler. We took care of that. We had several cooling towers and chillers. Your water doesn't bleed out of those systems fully. When it's this cold this long, we'll have things freeze. The good news is we don't need any cooling right now. So we do have 3 or 4 issues that we're already aware of that we'll have to go and fix here in a couple of weeks as soon as it warms up. And even little things you don't think about is on the exterior of your buildings, you have the strobe lights for your fire alarm systems. Well, they're going into alarm because what happens is you have that little tiny, that conduit, 1-inch conduit coming out of an attic space for the electrical wiring, and it'll bleed a little bit of hot air in there, and all that cold air outside is so cold, it'll condensate on the wires, and it'll cause the alarm to go off. So we have to clean them out, caulk them, close them back up, and things. But other than that, things were going pretty good. We average usually right now about 10 maintenance issues a day. We're averaging the last couple of days 15 to 20. We're down to only about 5 right now that haven't been completed, and we'll have those, of course, completed tomorrow with whatever else comes in. But anyway, everything's working really good. And we just learned over the years, too, we always have a problem at Sparkman Middle School, their fire suppression system. There's no way to check it or clean it or bleed that water down, and it'll have a tendency to bust because it's in the attic space, and it's just not insulated in those areas. We put heat tape on everything, we insulate lines, we do the best we can, but sometimes when it's this cold, just with the age of the buildings, and we're kind of laughing to ourselves because we've turned our mechanical systems on 24/7 heating now, just like it's occupied, so it's running full go the whole time. And we said, we can't believe that Marinable's cooling tower developed a leak in it. I mean, it froze and busted. And we said, it's brand new. Well, it's brand new in 2000. That building's 17 years old, and time just flies. We kept going, it's a new cooling tower, but it's almost 18 years old now. But other than that, everything went really well. I talked to a few other systems here and there that didn't have as good luck as we did, but it's really, it's the guys that do all the work and take care of it, and I don't think there's a single child that had an impact. I mean, we had a classroom, we always have a classroom here or there that has an issue, but overall, I think it was a good holiday and a good first day of school.
Well, I appreciate all y'all did. I'm pretty certain, I know in District 2, and I'm sure y'all can say the same, there wasn't a plant manager or a principal that wasn't at their school making sure that it got ready to go, and I know that was difficult as cold as it was, but even inside right now, but a lot of them were outside, making sure the outside was ready to go as well. Just the simplest of things like leaves having blown up around the door so the kids wouldn't fall. I mean, it takes a lot, and I appreciate all y'all have done. I think to be able to give some kudos to all of our folks that do a lot behind the scenes, so thank you so much.
Eddie or Dan on transportation, issues update with buses, how are we?
The only thing I can say is what a great job Eddie did. He had a plan and it worked. He actually was fortunate enough to have a bus driver in service yesterday, so brought all of them in and talked about safety and cold weather, all that. And while he was doing that, his team went out, started all the spares and regular buses, 260 buses, let them run an hour each to get them warmed up from the couple weeks they've been sitting. Took his crew out this morning early, started all the same buses again to make sure that when the drivers got there and the kids got on the bus was warm. We didn't have any buses that didn't run because of cold.
Yeah, we had to jump 2 off this morning.
So, but they were out at 6 o'clock this morning jumping them off. So no child stood along the road waiting on. The 2-hour delay was, again, well called for. And instead of going out at 4 a.m. and starting buses, he was able to go out at 6. So, and they'll do the same thing tomorrow. But 100% of that credit goes to Eddie. He laid that plan out and got people doing what needs to be done for our kids. Like, again, a good call on the 2-hour delay because, kids don't need to be standing out and wondering. I would say the other school systems probably didn't have a situation where they had 230 buses that all ran on time, and we did.
And I started saying that 2-hour delay is huge because we get in about 6 or 6:30, and to give us 2 hours on the big calls before the kids get there. Because they would have showed up to about 52-degree weather in Mount Carmel this morning, but they showed up to 69. So that really worked well.
Well, good deal. Thank you, guys, and that is a credit to hundreds of folks that gets out there in the cold, dark weather to make sure things are ready for our teachers and kiddos, and it's much appreciated.
Hey, Mr. Master, if I could say one more quick thing. During the holidays, too, Joe and Troy both, they're on their computer about half the time during the holidays, checking, monitoring, changing our temperatures. If we see a low temperature pop up somewhere in the school and they change it. We do a thing, Internoc, we've talked about in the past, the Internoc program, we participate, we cut utilities back. Well, they call for that during the holiday summit, so it's a great opportunity for us to cut back. And we say, in some areas, I won't read the numbers, but we have about 12 schools to participate, and we saved as much as 200% of our goal. Doesn't seem like much today, but usually we're running about $40,000 to $45,000 a year of Internoc money we get back for free. And this is money through a Huntsville utility program, but we'll probably gain another $15,000 to $20,000 just because Joe and Troy got online, set these temperatures down, modified the mechanical equipment, and by us meeting our goals and taking that energy and moving over into the housing or whatever when it's real cold, they give us money for that. Pretty simple.
So in Huntsville City, calls for those shortages, it's an opportunity for us to kind of lend them some of our allotted energy. So we're quick to jump on that. So, thanks, Joe, and and Troy, they do a great job with that. Carrie, you're next up on the agenda anyways, just keep going.
Okay, Owens Crossroads
Kerry
Roof.
Wilkerson Show.
Good news, we're going to bid it next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Yeah, we're excited about that ourselves. We had delay because of the Tectum decking. We found some issues with it. We are moving the traffic, if you've ever been down to that area, the traffic can actually back all the way down Wilson Man Road, all the way to the first week of school, it's actually on the highway. People with the turn lane can't even turn on the Wilson Man Lane. And even past then, they always back past there's a rest home there, a senior citizen home. And so trying to get the traffic off of Wilson Man, we're moving traffic around back, putting in a sidewalk and canopy. And so we're going to do the same thing around front, move the buses back around front. In doing so, we did some extra research, and we found that the gym at Owens Crossroads probably structurally could be improved. So we're making that improvement at the same time with this roof design. And but we're going to bid it all Tuesday. It'll be ready to go, and they'll start work, actually probably start work in about 4 to 5 weeks. And we'll have it finished by the time school starts next year.
That's exciting.
Excellent.
So
It
you're
is.
making the roof and the structural for the same price as we thought originally?
Well, we hope so. We really don't know how much the
It is.
structure's going to add to it, but we think we're going to be in the same price range, right? Yes, ma'am.
Well, you're talking about a, 1948 building?
1948.
Not as brand new as the 2000 cooler.
Not exactly.
Yeah. When something happens there, we don't say
That's
it's brand new.
still standing.
Yeah, that's a wonderful school.
All right, any other questions for Carrie on that? All right, next up, Mark Wilson's going to talk a little bit about our voice over IP and other printing things. This has been something we've known has been coming, and we've been trying to tackle it the best way we can. So.
Right. I've been working on this project for about 6 months. Dr. Minsky's been involved, Mr. Evans has been involved, a few people from my team. Miss Elliott's been involved trying to get this thing done right. And our problem is, our present system, it was EOL, end of life, about 2 years back. So what that means is we don't get updates for it. We can't call for support for it. It's actually, and Nathan will know a lot about this, it's on a physical server. And the server's 5 or 6 years old. And it's got, I think, a grand total of 50 meg remaining before the hard drive's completely full. So now's the time that we need to look toward a new system. And also with this system, we're looking toward some possible money savings. So what will the new system do? What we're doing is we did a bid. We had probably 10 people to respond back to the bid. It was a rather lengthy bid. And the problem we found with most phone providers is they want to do a license model, which may work great in a small company. But our general estimate for phones was 2,100 and something phones. So the license model made our numbers really big. So what we chose is a company that has no license fee. And we were able to leverage our brand new server we got over there, our new SAN, that would make it virtual, so we didn't have to buy any hardware. So when it all comes down to it, we're going to save probably between $4,000 and up to $14,000 a month on just our phone bill portion. We're going to move that over to a new way. It's called SIP trunking instead of PRIs, which we're using now. PRIs is kind of standard phone lines. With the SIP trunk, we're using the internet to make our calls, so we'll have no more long distance fees anymore. And that's where tremendous savings is coming from, off the long distance fee. And we've got the successful, well, the low bidder is here tonight, and I'm going to let him talk about the features. But the next lowest person, based on a 5-year plan, we want to use this phone system for at least 5 years, the savings is $1 million. And this phone system would basically come in, and Ms. Elliott can give you the exact amount, but I think our first year would be $26,000. And our regular phone bill, which would be possibly $2,000 a month. And then years 2 through 5, our total phone maintenance would be about $5,000 a year for maintenance. That's why we're getting such a huge savings. The company we're looking at is over 5 years, $138,000 we'd spend with them. And then the next lowest bidder was over $1 million. It's $1.3 million actually. So it's a good savings, but I want y'all to ask questions of, I've got Mr. Craig Reeves here. He's from Ambit. He's the lowest bid that we've got so far. And I'm going to get him to explain some of the features since it's his phone system.
I'm Craig Reeves from Ambit Solutions out of Birmingham, and I appreciate your time this evening. So it's the first time I've actually been to a school board meeting in 10 years of dealing with schools, so this is a first for me. Quick little background. We are 11 years old. We only do voice over IP systems. We today have nearly 50% of the schools in the state of Alabama. Some of our oldest are now approaching 10 years old. One of them right here in your back door, which is Madison City Schools, that we've had for almost 9 years now. We've never lost a school, which I'm happy to say we've never lost a customer. Really, the essence comes, or the savings comes down to two things. Mark touched on one of them, which is we use an open source platform that was actually developed by a gentleman here out of Huntsville, Alabama. It's difficult for me to say this. I went to Alabama, but he's from Auburn. And Mark Spencer, who some of you may be aware of here in town, the company Digium, developed the platform nearly 20 years ago. It's the most popular telephone voice over IP platform in the world today. You probably have used it, unbeknownst to you. Most of the cell phone companies today, the voicemail is actually Asterisk. Cisco's new call manager uses parts of Asterisk. And again, the reality is it's an extremely stable system. We have nearly 45,000 users, over 300 systems today. So that kind of gives you an idea of the stability. We get roughly out of the 45,000 users, 700 schools in that mix. We get about 12 support calls a day. So that kind of tells you. So as Mark talked about, one of the key things is not just the implementation cost being a lot lower, but it's the ongoing support costs. We just did Hoover City Schools this year. Their old legacy system, which is similar to yours, was $160,000 a year just in support fees. We took them down to $5,000 a year. So that kind of gives you an idea of the savings equation. Some of the key things, I apologize. Some of the key things that are, this is, Austin, I'm sorry.
You can just throw it on.
Probably needs to be replaced.
Hopefully I won't touch it.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Some of the key things for the education market I'll touch on. That we, again, doing so many schools, we've seen so many things. One of the things is safety. A couple things that are really critical in the system are, first of all, voice recording is included. So most of the time with most systems, you have to go out and procure a separate module to do just voice recording. We can record every single phone call. We've had bomb threats, Talladega County Schools last year, surprisingly during school testing, had 2 bomb threats. And one of the things that we did, and actually this was fun for us, the superintendent, we got on a call, the superintendent said, what can we do? We said, well, we traced the call, located it to an AT&T number out of Texas. But again, you can only go so far in the tracing side of the equation. So one of the things that we implemented was the ability to record every call. Superintendent said, well, how long would it take to set that up for all 20 of our schools in that district? 15 minutes. Now, here was the side effect. The superintendent sent out a school cast to every family saying, hey, we want to let you know, as you're aware, we've had 2 bomb threats this week. We're being proactive, and one of the things that we've done is now every call coming into the schools is being recorded. Well, guess what happened with angry parent calls? They dropped dramatically. Now, the key thing is, as I told the superintendent, you got to keep sending that message out every year because you got a new set of families coming in. But call recording is one of the key things. The second thing is, and this is a new feature in the system that we use dramatically, is 911 calling. There's a feature now where if somebody calls out of a facility and dials 911, you hear all the times as far as how long it takes first responders to get there. It can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes for the dispatch to actually get in touch with a patrol units to get them rolling to come in there. Yet every school has an SRO officer and actually has other personnel that are capable of handling situations and getting there quickly. One of the things that we have now is the ability when somebody dials 911, it will actually notify a list of numbers at the exact same time. So the SRO officer for that particular facility gets the call. They're actually on the call with dispatch, the caller. They're moving towards that issue right then and there. They do not have to be a part of the phone system. In other words, it's not to their desk phone. It can be to their cell phone. So we can connect up the assistant principal or whoever else you may have on staff at a particular facility. And literally, when a 911 call, they're on the call and know what's exactly going on at that point in time. And again, there's no licensing fees for that. That's built in. The second or third thing is the ability to do bells. If you're in any school district, in fact, the older school that you mentioned, Carrie, the one from 1948, you've got wiring for bells, you got wiring for intercom, you got wiring for telephone. Well, one of the great things about this platform is you can now roll all that into an IP-based solution. So each school, even though there's one server, and it's going to be a virtual machine sitting at the data center over Mark's building, and we already have it set up, all the schools will be running off that same server. They can manage their own bell schedule for their facility. They will have complete control of that. They can set up the bells like alternative schedules for testing days, or half days, or days where you're starting late. All of that's built in. Again, nothing that you have to do for it. And then really the other key thing is intercom and paging is built in. We had a fun time doing a proof of concept with Dan over at one of the elementary schools. We took one of your phones, connected it up, worked great, left a voicemail, and actually the voicemail to email, which is built in, worked perfectly right out of the box, as well as turning the light on the phone. My understanding was you've had your current system for a number of years and have never gotten a voicemail notification. That could be bad. You might not want that, but it will definitely alert you at this time. And then really, the final thing that I would talk about is, because there's no per-user licensing fees, one of the great things that you can do is not only can you put phones out there, but you can put adjunct personnel into the system. So now this can be good or bad for you school board members, and I've been on school board, so I completely understand where you're sitting. But you can add anybody into the system. So you might have mobile people that don't sit at a desk phone every day. Well, rather than their extension ringing a physical phone, we can actually interconnect into the cell phones that people have, as well as people outside. So you might have PTA members. We have school districts where the PTAs have virtual mailboxes. Somebody calls into the school district, needs to talk to the PTA, they leave a voicemail. It goes to the email of that individual at their business or wherever they're at, their home. And so it looks like they're just completely integrated in. That way you don't have to give out personal cell phone numbers or anything of that area. So with that, there's a ton of features. I would tell you, I could go on for hours, and I'm not. Mark told me I had 5 minutes, so I think I'm probably running towards the end here. So at this time, I'll open it up if you've got specific questions, specific things about school districts we've already done.
So if the intercom system actually is running from a central unit, but each school has the ability to obviously intercom their messages from there, does that mean that central office also has the ability to intercom out a system-wide message? For instance, if we're going to shut schools down, or actually I was thinking more of something like something good, like good morning, we've got a great thing going on for schools this month.
Yes.
Or something.
Absolutely.
And then if they can, right now, if they intercom within the school and say there's a lockdown and there's a class out at recess, is there a way to let that teacher know who's out on the playground that you either need to stay put or come back in? Is there a way to contact?
There's a couple of ways. Phase 2 of this project is we want to do some more safety with Carrie and Mr. Evans. We want to start putting speakers outside just for that occasion. And we'll put speakers in the gym, and they'll be in the cafeteria. And the speakers we're using, they're two-way speakers. So if I had a call box out at a telephone pole at the recess, I could go in and hit that button one time. It would ring the office and say, hey, we have a kid with a fractured leg. Or I could hold that button in. It would call the office and also 911.
Because I was thinking of the young man last year that we needed the AED for at the baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been.
And we can also roll this to soft phones too. So if I call Mr. Massey's desk phone and he's on his cell phone out at Owens Crossroad, he would ring his cell phone just as if he was sitting in his office.
Right.
But we want to hit the safety feature really big, and the bells and intercoms are going to be integrated together. And that's something we're having to piecemeal and pay 2 and 3 different parts to make that work. So,
Well, because I know intercoms are pretty important. I'm pretty certain that Buckhorns don't work at all.
yeah.
Madison
We've got a couple of New Hope their bells are
New
not
Hope
working.
Elementary and some of the old, there's schools all over the county that You know, it's a safety issue because they do not have intercom. We've just been, we've been lucky.
Yeah, we want to have outside speakers, you know, bus lines and out around the playgrounds, speakers in the hallways. We'll even put some speakers in this facility
That's what-
because there's no way we can communicate.
So the tech center where they have some of the outdoor and the
Correct.
welding and that sort of thing.
And the beauty of it is if we got a network cable, like we have a network cable right there, well, if we didn't need that, I've already got everything I need to put me a speaker there.
So are these speakers provided through Ambit, or are they speakers that we have to buy?
We will buy them through their company. And
On-
that'll
on
be
the
with
contract
whoever we go
vehicle.
with.
This is phase 2 though,
Yeah,
right?
phase two.
Phase
We
two.
want to get the phones up and going, but then we've got to hit these bells and intercoms pretty quick as well. So it'll kind of go hand in hand, but we have to move the phones over.
So if the server goes down,
It
everything
really
goes
won't,
down?
Because what it is,
won't.
and
It won't.
David knows a lot more about this than
Never.
I do. But what
Never
we'll
say
do
never.
is roll over to another server that's spun up. And then if all else fails with something that y'all granted us last year, it'll all roll over to Hazel Green? Hazel Green, if everything happens. And then we'll be able to work over there.
Does it have, I'm sorry, does it have battery backup? So if we were to have a situation like we did 6 years ago where power was out countywide, this thing is still operating?
We have battery backup and also our generator over there. So we should stay up really no matter what. And if the server does die, it just rolls over to another server sitting next to it. So it should be, and what we found is other school systems, like I asked Aaron, you over at Madison City, they've had it, what, 8 years?
8 years.
I said, Aaron, you tell me the truth, I've known you a long time. I said, have y'all had trouble with it? He said, well, to be honest with you, I don't know because I've never had to work on it. I went, thank you, that's the answer I like.
So I'm assuming since you mentioned Hoover City that there's multiple school districts as big as ours on this.
Yeah, there's a list.
Give them some of that list.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Decatur City, Jackson County,
You'll have to go bigger.
I gotta put my eyes on it.
Hoover, Lee, Madison,
Although, we're number 8.
Shelby
Tuscaloosa
County,
County,
Alabaster,
Yep,
Arab,
Tuscaloosa County.
We do not, but
Okay.
let's just
Dale
say they're
County.
talking to us.
One of the things though, you know, make sure everybody understands about the intercom piece of it, because I'm hearing, okay, when we bring this in, we can do a little bit here and there, and all of our intercoms are gonna work, and that's nowhere near the case, am I correct? The only 2 schools we have now that are capable of doing this are Cary's 2 newest schools, Madison County Elementary and Moore's Mill. So like at New Hope where they have difficulty, you know, it is going to be a full-fledged, replace all speakers, replace all wiring. So it's not a magic bullet by any
Right,
stretch.
right.
And that'll come into play no matter what we've got, because what we've got in the system now, those old Bogans that everybody remembers with the big flick buttons, and the analog speakers that in some places are 20, 25 years old. So we're basically giving everybody an upgrade, but we'll start with the schools that have nothing right now.
So what's the time frame for this to be up and operational?
For a school district this large, I would say you're probably looking at about 4 to 5 months for a complete rollout.
Won't
Yeah.
be the time frame to get your 2 schools that we have fully functioning intercom-wise and everything with what they have. Because
Okay.
they have IP speakers in all their classrooms, we've got analog, you know, and the Stoves is, face that exasperation at Madison County Elementary that, you know.
In the
Yeah.
older part of the building, it
Well,
doesn't
and in the
work.
new part, I can call everybody, but I can't call your, you know, and Carrie, we know that became a bill of goods we were sold from the licensing from the previous company. Can you go in just for minimal cost, or is it just a programming issue? Make Madison County Elementary and Moore's Mill fully function?
Yes, and you ask a great question, because this is really common for us. Because the system's open source, it runs on what's called the SIP protocol. The phones you currently have are completely compatible, the Polycom phones you got throughout the district. It's one of the great things. You're not going to have to buy new equipment in order to run this system. Literally, all we have to do, and we've already done this, Austin helped us do the proof of concept with Dan, is we've already constructed a VLAN, a voice VLAN. So we made a change to one of your boxes, the DHCP server, to point the phones that we tested with to our new server. And literally, every phone has what's called a MAC address. It's unique. And so the phone literally finds the new server. The server has its credentials. It's live. So to answer your question, Dan, to convert an existing school, is literally a day, because we don't have to go install anything. We're just basically changing out config files on the server. We will have to change the network config and everything, and then reboot, so it'd be an after hours when we did the changeover. What will take the longest, and I cannot affect this at all, is the process called porting, which is moving your numbers from your current carrier. As you might guess, when a company is losing your phone service, they're not real happy about it. So generally, they don't make that process very clean. So that porting process takes about 4 weeks on average. You can have a nightmare. I just had a church in Birmingham that took 8 months with Charter. So you can always have a fun one. But generally, what we found in the school areas, because you're all blended with one carrier, and we do facility by facility, it's about 4 weeks apiece. Does that answer?
Who would be our vendor for, you would take care of our SIP lines?
Everything. And so if you have an intercom question, if you have a bell schedule question, if you have a phone question, you call us.
Okay, so that was really one of my main concerns is, you know, what we've had is, it's yours, and it didn't work. So
If you
basically,
had-
we would get a single bill from everyone.
That's correct. The other thing is, let's assume you had, and this happens, let's assume you had a fiber cut, a backhoe goes through fiber, and you no longer have phone service coming in. Because we're housing your calls,
Right.
we can redirect those numbers anywhere you need to go. So we've had it happen, not typically a whole district, but we've had a school get isolated. So the question you asked earlier, one of the things we can actually do is route those calls like to the principal's cell phone, so that those calls are going through, or to somebody that you designate at the school. So we've got complete control of your calls, where they go in and out. So hopefully,
But the recording of all the calls, that's an extra thing that you could add. Are we going to do that?
It's included. And where we find this would be so important is like, I would encourage all of our teachers to use our phones when they're contacting a parent, because if a parent gets belligerent, you know, we would have evidence. So it's a safety feature for our staff as well. And that's built in.
We'll send
that's
out
one of the
a
big
warning,
draws of
right?
the system. It's all built in together, so we don't have to piecemeal and piecemeal and piecemeal.
and there's 2 levels of recording. Out of the box, every call, internal and external. In other words, if I called you just at your extension, there's a record of it. In other words, not the audio, but just a record of it. So literally, every call that's ever made. I had the funniest one I've had, and I won't tell you who because it's close by, but it was a brand-new high school. They had picked their extensions at that high school to be their STI number, which was 91, the billing code. Well, the office phones were all 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it was a 5-digit numbering scheme. So the first 3 digits were 911. And the principal called me one day and said, "Hey, I've had the fire engines and the police show up here 3 times this morning. I want to know who's dialing 911. About 30 seconds later, I said, "Well, I got bad news. It's you." He was dialing 911, couldn't remember the last 2 digits. I said, "I got an idea. Why don't we change this extension scheme?" So they have. They've since gone to a 7,000.
And that's another point too, our numbers won't change, our extensions won't change, we'll be able to just, one day you're on this interface, the next day when you come to school, you'll be on another interface that hopefully looks a little pretty.
And I want to address one thing you brought up as far as size, and we do quite a few. We do universities, so the University of Montevallo, Southern Union Community College. We also do entire county structure. So Shelby County, we're saving them $150,000 a year. They've been one of our oldest customers, 9 years. But in that, we do first responders. So we have all their sheriff, all their 911, all of that's built into our system. And that's nearly a 2,000 user system as well down there. That's not a school, that's the actual county infrastructure. But we have quite a few municipalities. In fact, we're doing the cities of Pelham and cities of Alabaster right now. We already have the schools there, but we're doing the actual city infrastructure.
So during this porting process, that doesn't mean there's any downtime for us, it just means y'all are waiting to get.
That's correct. Yeah,
To
when
be
the
able to
port
bill us
actually
back.
happens, it's about a 15-minute dead window, where your old phones are dead and the new phones come back up.
And we'll do that at night, try to move the school as soon as we can, but do that at night so it doesn't interrupt school.
Right.
The one last, this is important, certainly for just those districts, in the New Hope Owens Crossroads where you have the telephone cooperative.
Mhm.
We discussed that. In the previous system, we had to go to a different type of PRI, so it would not be a long distance call. I know we discussed that in our meeting. Do you have a workaround for that? Can you kind of describe what it is?
We do. First of all, there's no long distance. The world's flat. You know, really the cost of making a phone call in the United States is the same for every carrier. It's roughly about 2 cents per minute. So it doesn't matter. Really what you have is old tariff infrastructures. We're an unregulated body, so we're not bound by the old tariff structures. That's one of the reasons our costs are far less. It's also the reason that we offer a flat rate per call path type structure. But we'll be able to take all your numbers that are portable and pull them in to the carrier. So they'll actually come from a single source, whereas today they actually physically come in to every building. They'll literally come into our carrier. Then on the back end, we get to pick whether it's Earthlink, Comcast, Verizon, so we can actually land your numbers wherever we want to land them on the back end.
I think the problem at Owens Crossroads, if I knew, and because we had to go to a different PRI that was, I guess, tariff-free, because otherwise, if a parent across the street from Owens Crossroads called the school, it was a long-distance call for them.
Right.
It wasn't for us calling out, but them calling in, you know, you called to say, I forgot Johnny's lunch money, and you get $1.25 bill. Do we have a workaround for that?
You do. One of the funny ones we had was over here at Madison. As you know, James Clements is on the other side of County Line Road. For them to call the students' families on the other side of County Line Road, even though they were 300 yards away, was a long distance. We can, if you want, put a piece of equipment in that, what's called C-leg. Unbeknownst to the people that are using the phones, if you called anybody, in fact, if you called out of the BOE at Madison City Schools, the call actually was shot over their WAN to James Clements, which was over on the Limestone County LATA, and they had free calling to anybody in Limestone County. By the same token, if anybody on the Limestone side needed to call Madison County side, it was free all the way back over to this side of the county. So we have the ability to route calls in and out of the carriers as we see fit,
Now, you
because it's
said-
riding on your data network.
Right, you said we can, but is that we can for a fee?
If we put a piece of equipment, that's all you'd have to buy, is that piece of equipment, which is just running a little software that allows us to route.
But I guess, and I'm making sure I'm not confusing the issue. The Owens Crossroads New Hope Telephone Cooperative, do they have any say in that as far as?
No.
You know,
We hook up to their circuits that you've got over there.
so that's something you work with them, no cost to us?
That's
except for
right.
Maybe the piece of equipment.
That's correct. And let's talk about the equipment that you would put in. We're not talking about $20,000. We're talking about a device that's roughly about $1,200 if you put that in over there.
Is that at each location or one? for
Just
the-
one. You
for the
don't
whole
have to put it
system?
when they're in a different LATA. So you wouldn't have to put
That
it
piece
in
of
something.
equipment would end up here at Mark's Place.
No, it would actually be out there.
So there's 3 schools down
Three
there. So they'll
schools.
have 3 pieces of
No,
equipment.
we would combine everything to one school.
See, we put it at that school and then it runs through our network. We can
Right.
put the other schools.
And I guess my biggest concern, since we've had such a disaster in building for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years with that giant conglomerate that provides you phone lines, we don't want the one.
Yeah.
Ms. O'Bannon, am I correct? We want one bill.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, we just did Clark County Schools, and we had a telco that would not let us have the numbers. They were paying $1,200 a month at the BOE for 8 lines. Phone numbers, your cost on them is 40 cents a month. I went to the board and I said, look, if you're willing to get new phone numbers here at the board, the BOE, you'll go from $1,200 a month to $1.60 a month. And they decided, yep, and so they basically got brand-new numbers, and that's all it was.
Since we have all AT&T numbers.
You're fine.
are
All yours are
Are all
portable.
those portable?
All yours are portable.
Because when we switched phones last time, we had all AT&T numbers.
Right.
But they wouldn't let us port some of them.
Today, they have to port them. Yeah, they're all portable. Yeah. Good question.
All right. You have a question?
Sounds too good to be true.
No, I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so, okay, toll-free numbers, the days of paying for a toll-free number and reverse charges are pretty much dead. We have quite a few call centers, non-education, that use toll-free numbers for marketing purposes and everything else. They're just a DID, they're 40 cents a month. So if you want a toll-free number, it doesn't up your phone bill at all, it's just 40 cents a month if you want a new number that's toll-free. So that's the charge that you would get each month.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
The next thing I would like to discuss, and the reason I wanted to come to you and just explain this, it is a contract, so I wanted to run it through everybody. But what we're looking at moving toward HP print services. It's this new thing that HP's come out with. They've had it 5 or 6 years, but they actually just got it worked out and working good the last couple. What this would do, this would affect the schools. So basically what would happen, if we sign a contract, we're going to try 2 schools from now until the school year end. So what happens, AT&T, I'm still thinking on phones, HP would come in and tag the printers that are located in those schools. We've already been doing reports, so we know how many sheets of paper every printer in our district prints right now. So what happens, I've got a printer and I'm a classroom teacher, I print out 5,000 pages. Well, we know that report, and with this new HP managed services, at 5,000 pages, HP will send me one of their toner cartridges to the school and have the room number on it that it goes in the school. Basically what this is saying, we will only print for the copies we use, for the pages. We will only pay for the pages we print. Say, like, I know a lot of times at the end of the year, everybody goes, well, I'm going to buy 10 toner cartridges. Well, there's no need to do that anymore, because since it's all going to be regulated and the printers are getting smarter now, they'll phone home or they'll do by monitoring and send the parts that each printer needs to fix it. And if there is a problem on that printer, the faculty member just calls HP the 800 number, gives them this barcode, and they come out the next day and fix it. That'd be phase 1. So what it says, we won't have to buy toner anymore. Nobody's going to have to find toner for 15 different devices. It'll automatically flow to us as it's needed. So that'll be a savings. Phase 2 of that is, and this is only if phase 1 works, phase 2 of that will be like Mr. Massey uses a printer and he prints out 5,000 pages a week. Well, Mr. Wilkerson has one and he only prints out 2 pages, but he has a printer capable of 5,000. So then we can start looking at getting the best bang for our buck, because everything is figured on the cost per page. So the high volume printers, they're a lot cheaper to use, so we want to move those printers to people that print the most volume. Then the third phase of this is we will start to move from our leased copying machines to an HP copier. And what it does, anytime it needs anything, it phones home and somebody's out there the next day to put a new fuser in it or the toner's sent to us. This may sound a little confusing, but what it will do in the end, and we're estimating off the numbers we have, in 5 years, it will save the schools $358,000. And it's basically no cost to us. All we'll do is we'll get a report once a month that says Riverton Intermediate used $700 worth of toner, and we will back charge that school for it. They're going to help us out with that over in purchasing to get that. But I wanted to at least get your thoughts on it, because it is a contract, but it's no out-of-pocket money on us and has the potential over 5 years to save $358,000. And the schools that I've talked to about it, they seem real excited because they don't have to scrounge toner cartridges and look at prices at Office Depot and Walmart and all this stuff. It'll just be shipped to them when that monitoring report senses that level that they need to send a new toner cartridge.
So will this require a change out of all printers that are currently there?
No. What'll happen, HP will send a team in, and say if we use Riverton, they'll go around to every room, mark the toner level, and put a sticker on it with a barcode. So what'll happen, they know that this teacher will print 10 pages a day, so they know that printer won't need a toner cartridge for, say, 50 days. So they will monitor it then, and when it comes time that they'll need a toner cartridge, one is automatically shipped, genuine HP ink, to the school with that teacher's name on it and room number. So she'll have what she needs. So what it will eliminate is us piling up, 30 toner cartridges sitting here that we got a good deal on at Sam's, and they sit there for 2 years and they're not any good anymore. So
Are these network printers only?
no, any printer. Any printer.
So how are they checking? They're actually coming back every few weeks? and
They're
checking?
coming back and looking at them and judging it, but all network printers, we have a very accurate number on that because we're all monitoring those currently right now. So, and it'll slowly evolve, and then what they'll do, they'll start recommending, Mr. Massey needs that 5,000 page printer, so you may want to get him that model. But where HP's going to make their money is just selling us a toner. But,
Does every teacher pretty much have a printer in their classroom?
yes. And we have a lot of network printers scattered out in all the common areas, not common areas, but the workrooms in the schools. We've got, if you saw that report, I think we're running like 700 or 800 different printers. I mean, it's a mess.
I
Is
wouldn't
it-
say every teacher has their own, but you make, some departments go in together, so.
Yeah,
like
the
math
departments usually have a
department
bigger
may have
network.
one.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the copiers are now linked where you can print to a copier.
Right.
you know, that
See, and the reason we did that, the copier is the lowest price per page that you can use.
So that's what I wonder, like those small printers, of course, the cost per page is
Right.
just really high. So if you had some big network copiers
Right.
that they shot their jobs to, you could maybe eliminate some of those smaller
We
printers
can,
over
and that's
time.
where like phase two, when we'll start really auditing what we've got and pick the best printer for you and your needs and the way you use it. And if you'll think about it from the school end, they won't have to worry about this anymore. The printer needs something, they call that number, and HP's guaranteed us they'll be out here the next day to repair it. And that's all part of it too. We're not getting billed extra for that. It's just part of the print managed services. I kind of think it's a win-win. I mean, we're not liable for any money or have to worry about any of that thing. And the understanding is we're going to try it for the rest of this school year, and then if we don't like it, you know, there's no loss to us.
The old cartridge that comes out.
They will get put back in the box with HP, and they pay the postage to ship back to HP.
Is it local here in Huntsville?
The service tech guys will be, I guess, somebody local that HP's contracted with. I've not really met that part of it yet, but they'll send a team in for these two schools and go around and tag every printer and set them up for the program. So, I mean, I think it's kind of a win-win for us. I mean, the schools will get to, you know, hopefully save quite a bit of money. And it's not going to cost us anything, so I like that part of the deal.
Is anybody else locally doing this?
You know, I don't know about locally. I think Brian down at Hoover's doing it. Hoover City Schools, I think he's working with them on it. But a lot of people seem to be moving this way. But
So it gets IT out of the printing business at all?
well, I mean, we'll try to help, and we'll have to do all the network and FIG and all that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
But it's none of this, and my guys, we just can't know 700 different printers. But the HP people, they're supposed to know it.
So printer goes down, teacher calls.
Next day, somebody's there.
Somebody's there.
But just give me your thoughts on that. But thank you. I'm sorry I took so much time, y'all.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark comes with a lot of ideas and energy, and I appreciate he has brought a lot with us, and so brought a lot to us, so appreciate that, Mark, thanks very much. You want to start a special session, or did we say this was a work session, or did you kind of gavel us in as a special session?
I brought us in as a work session, so we'll need to.
We need to,
Adjourn.
we need to go in discussion.
Go into session.
Because I have not recommended the agenda yet, first reading, so if you want to hammer us
We
in.
might not vote yes. Madison County Board of Education will now move to special session for Thursday, January 4th, 2018.
All right, now we have the approval of the
Funny.
agenda for January 4th, 2018.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second regarding the agenda. Is there any discussion or question? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, I recommend approval of the change item. Number one for Hazel Green High School, that's the first floor mechanical system.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And I will now recommend approval of the personnel items as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
With a motion and a second, is there any question regarding the personnel items? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The next one is a resolution regarding the superintendent's salary that needs to be set during the qualifying period. At present, I think most of us agree on the resolution as a whole, with the exception of the tool that we'll use for evaluation. So if no one has, we can discuss it further, but what I'd like to do is recommend that we pass the resolution as it stands with the addendum that we will come back and enter in what the evaluation tool will be. The only other thing that we have not completed in this is how many goals that we would like for the superintendent to set. I think during the work session, we came up with the number 3, but I think we were going to revisit that. So if anybody would like to, first we'll have to have a motion, then we can, or actually, if everybody's comfortable with 3, then I will proceed with recommending the resolution as it stands with 3 goals, and then we will leave the wording so that we can come back and add the tool for the evaluation at a later date, but we will do that before February 9th. My goal is to go ahead and, on the next board meeting, which is January 18th, add a work session to discuss what we'd like that evaluation tool to look like, and then add a special session on 2/1/18 in order to vote on the evaluation tool, and that will put us, if we vote on that 2/1/17, that'll put us before the end of qualifying with a completed resolution for the new superintendent that comes in with an election time.
I was thinking 5 goals. I don't know if that's.
I'm open. What I had recalled was 3. I think that we had looked at the strategic plan and looked at how many categories there were, and there's 5, is that correct?
Because we said we wanted the goals to be kind of in line with the strategic plan.
Yes, and the resolution
Number
already
3.
says that the board-approved annual goals based on the board-approved strategic plan. So if 5 is a preferred number, I'm good with that. I just need everybody to kind of agree that 5 is.
There's actually 4 sections of the strategic plan.
Okay.
But then there's kind of equity, communication, and technology that sort of surrounds it.
Yeah, the
So
ones that
there's
run
7.
through the entire.
So,
I'm comfortable with 5, if everyone else isn't. I got crickets here.
No, I'm okay with 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with 5. I was just looking at something for this. Yeah.
All right, well, in that case, I will make a motion to approve the resolution as it stands with the salary at 153, the evaluation process to include 5 goals, and an amendment that will say that we will approve an evaluation tool at the 2/1/18 meeting, and we will add part of 1/18/18 as a work session in order to clarify what we'd like that evaluation tool to be.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. And I think at this point, we needed to have an executive
I've asked for
session.
executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Okay. With pending litigation, there'll be no vote following, so y'all are all welcome to stay. But at this point, I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.